Hello everyone, welcome to my channel The Memory Keeper. Today is another story time day, but today I'll talk about not one of my own stories but a Russian fairy tale. So this is the book that I'll be reading the story to you from. I have summarized a smaller, I've summarized the story to a certain extent. This book was first published in 1966 in former USSR and the reprint happened in 1981. This was gifted to me one of my cousins who was much older than me then, in the late 80s. And throughout my growing up years, I have really treasured this book. Even now when I am a little down, I want to read something really light, this book is my refuge. So today's story is Vasilisa the Beautiful, and hear it how it goes. Now this is a folklore that combines both witchcraft and literature, as you will soon find out. Vasilisa lived with her stepmother, two stepsisters and a father in a small hut that stood at the edge of a dense forest. And in the forest there lived Baba Yaga, a cunning witch and sly who gobbled people in the wink of an eye. One night when Vasilisa's father had gone to seek work in the big city, she, her stepmother and stepsisters were alone in the house. It was a cold, dark winter night and somewhere in the village area of Russia. And their house suddenly went dark when the single birch splinter crackled snapped before finally going out. Since there was no light in the house, Vasilisa was tasked with fetching a light from none other than Baba Yaga. And her cruel stepmother pushed Vasilisa out. Baba Yaga lived in a hut that stood on chicken legs. The fence round the hut was made of human bones and crowned with human skulls. Vasilisa was scared to death, walked for more than 3 hours before she reached Baba Yaga's hut. Vasilisa seemed to have frozen to the spot. Her feet wouldn't move and refused to carry her any further from this terrible, horrible place. All of a sudden, she felt the earth trembling and rocking beneath her feet. There was Baba Yaga, flying up in a mortar, swinging her pestle like a whip and sweeping the tracks away with a broom. She flew up to the gate and sniffing the air cried, "I smell human flesh. Who is here?" Well, Vasilisa came up to Baba Yaga, bowed low to her and said very humbly, "It is I, Vasilisa, Baba Yaga. I need some light." Baba Yaga said, "Come home inside. It is cold out." Vasilisa entered the hut very fearfully and sat on a bench in front of the kitchen hearth, while Baba Yaga's maid fed her an enormous meal. A pot of borscht and half a cow, 10 jugs of milk and a roasted sow, 20 chickens and 40 geese, 2 whole pies and an extra peas, cider and meat and home-brewed ale, beer by the barrel and kvass by the pail. Baba Yaga ate and drank every tiny morsel, but she only gave Vasilisa a chunk of bread. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga was planning on how to roast Vasilisa and eat her. By now you know that she was a witch. So she gave Vasilisa a very difficult task. She gave her a sack of millet and asked her to pick it over seed by seed. And if she could not do it, she would simply gobble her up. Vasilisa became so fearful and tearful, she wondered if she would ever see her father alive. Now Vasilisa had this wise old rag doll. She took it outside her pocket and asked the wise old rag doll for her advice. The doll said to her, "Go to sleep, Vasilisa, for morning is wiser than the evening." Vasilisa did as she was told and she went to sleep. When she woke up in the morning, the task was already done. Baba Yaga became mad with anger, for she desperately wanted to eat Vasilisa, but now she could not eat her. Nevertheless, Vasilisa heard Baba Yaga directing her maid, "Maid, please light the fire and heat the pan. I'm going to roast Vasilisa alive." Once Vasilisa heard this, she trembled and shook with fear, but then there was nothing that she could do. So she thought of something. She bribed the maid with a single silken kerchief that she was carrying with herself. The maid told her, "I'll do as you told. I'll pour water over the fire so that the light doesn't burn up easily, and by the time you can flee." Well, Vasilisa took the opportunity and she started running out. As soon as she had left the gate, she realized that she had forgotten the light, the reason why she was here in the first place. So what she did, she took one of the human skulls from the fence and put it up on a stick, and then she ran home as fast as she could. Upon reaching home, she found that the hut was in utter darkness. There was no light. Her stepsisters ran out of the hut and started chiding her for being so late. And then they brought the skull inside the house. But the eyes of the skull fixated themselves on the stepmother and her two daughters. No matter where they tried to hide or where they tried to run, the eyes would follow them. And by morning, all three of them had burnt to cinder. Only Vasilisa remained unharmed, as beautiful as ever. A few weeks later, Vasilisa chanced upon the Tsar witch of that place, who fell in love with her beauty, and they got married. When Vasilisa's father came back from his work, he went to live with his daughter in the palace, and they lived happily ever after. I hope you liked the story, and do check out the illustrations. They have been made by my really cute and darling nephews Areen and Ayan. And if you like the video, do give it a thumbs up. If you like my storytelling, do subscribe to my channel. Until then, tata, bye bye. Take care.